It is indeed a pleasure to have this privilege to play here for you. We intend to give you a very fine program, so just settle back, relax, and enjoy the moment.
It is after 10:30. After 10:30. I'm gonna do my mic check. 1 2 1 2. Don't know who's gonna hop on. I don't know who's gonna hop on, but kind of let people know that I was gonna hop on Twitch a little later than usual. Man, good morning, Tracy on Facebook. Good morning. Whatever eyes happen upon this stream, I'll be grateful for. So the next couple of days might be a little different, right? It's not gonna be 7:30. It's gonna be a little different. The next couple of days at least. But I felt compelled to hop on nonetheless, and I rearranged my work schedule so that, hey, what's up, Justin? I rearranged my work schedule to try to hop on. What's up, Jennifer on Facebook? Hey, you here? All right, Jennifer Wicker. All right, cool. I felt compelled to hop on, given not only what took place, as I teased this out on the little Twitter and multi-stream headline, talking about the protest that took place this weekend, some action that I was involved with, and then there was also so much more. What up, Letitia? Hey, what's up, D? So there was so much that took place over the weekend, and not just in terms of activism, but also, unfortunately, and this is something that I was trying to figure out how to approach because of the momentum around the Jamal Sutherland case, and not only that, the momentum around criminal justice in general. There seemed to be a spate of high-profile extrajudicial killings of Black people that have made national attention, men and women. Throughout the South, especially. So you had the Ronald Green tape from an incident that took place in 2019. Well, that body cam footage was just released, and it was horrific. It was a lynching caught on camera, as was the Jamal Sutherland tape. So there was so much momentum around these extrajudicial killings, around police accountability and justice for these families. What up, Kia? And so much of the attention. So much of my attention went to those issues. As I continue to grow, as I continue to build out this platform, whatever this platform will be. Good morning, Mara. Good morning, Whiskey Neat. As I continue to build out this platform, I'll be able to try to juggle like multiple things at once. But so we're here now, and I want to say shout out to Letitia. Imara nudged the group that I was in to pay close attention to the issue of violence going on, and again, like Letitia nudged it, something that's been on my heart, but it means something when someone else that you're in community with, someone that you trust, also felt compelled to say, hey, you know what, I know we doing all this, but this demands our attention too, right? And so this is what it is. Also, y'all, I want to say this. I know the violence that I'm going to touch on, it features Black people. It takes place in Black communities. It impacts Black people directly. But I want to say this. White supremacy, it don't clock out. It don't take no days off. And a lot of the issues that we were fighting for in the Jamal Sutherland case, a lot of the things that we want, the demands, at least from the Justice for All coalition, right? A lot of the demands that were listed, a lot of the resources that were recommended, those are the same needs that our communities pushed to the margins need as well, right? And I want us to just look a little closer. I know it's going to be a huge rush, and good and bad, a huge rush to condemn the violence. That's, I'll never bash a group for condemning the violence and calling for folks to put down the guns and start protecting. Late show, Rajon. I'll never wrap the knuckles of folks who are trying to push for a anti-violent message. What I hope to offer is nuance, and what I hope to offer is also not not have folks escape accountability, because we need to hold these perpetrators of violence. We need to hold them accountable. I don't care if they look like me. I don't care if it's my cousin. I don't care if it's someone I went to high school with. They need to be held accountable just as much as we're calling for accountability within our law enforcement. But what you won't hear on this platform is a lot of respectability politics. You won't hear me blaming and shaming Black people as a collective to make a larger point about the violence. And I will say this. In my time as an activist, and I'm talking about going back to undergrad. So, I became activated in undergrad on campus around a number of things. I was in the New York metro area, so there was definitely never a lack of things to rally behind. But I was in undergrad as 9/11 happened. So I was on campus just miles away from where the Twin Towers went down, right? So from the highest part of my campus, you could have seen the New York City skyline, and you could have seen the towers crumbling, right? That's how close I was to 9/11. After that came the I guess the call for war from the Bush administration, and I became activated on campus back then. Just to give you a little timeline about like how close I have been to certain issues, and then from those years, and from now I'm 40, fast forward a long time later, I'm 40, and throughout my study of issues, not just violence, not just explicitly white supremacy, but just in terms of how oppression works, right? All my years have taught me that there's no one simple solution. There is no one simple answer. There is no one simple cause, right? And that's what I hope to bring to this discussion around violence. Now, I've invited some folks to help me this week to help me contextualize what we're seeing in North Charleston. I've invited some folks from born and raised here to help me just speak. And this is so serendipitous. Letitia, if you're still watching, you tagged us in the chat about like, yo, this is going on. We need to kind of like gear up. Before that, a couple days before that, I had woken up to see some real crazy news about Vibes, right? The nightclub Vibes, right? So I woke up, because y'all know I get ready for the show by curating certain news clips, and that was like the number one. I'm like, damn, Vibes again. And then just so happened, I'm in a text dialogue with someone else, and they talk about the violence in North Charleston. It's just like the energy, the universe is saying, hey, Meek, you got to pay attention to this issue. And it's just so serendipitous that now I'm at this point where I can engage people. So hopefully I'll be reaching out to at least maybe one or two, definitely one person to help us understand this issue of what's going on in Charleston, in North Charleston. That being said, we have to walk and chew gum at the same time. We still have to call for justice for Jamal. We still shouting free Palestine and solidarity with our Palestine brothers and sisters and people and families here. And on top of that, we want to help people figure out a way to stop this violence, right? So we're going to have that conversation. So no shaming on this, no shaming on this platform. Nothing like that. And what I'm also going to do is talk about my experience. So throughout the pandemic, y'all know I lived in Philly for 10 years, right? So I moved back here around 2014, 2015. I think that's when I really was like, stop going back and forth. I think 2015 is when I was like, here, right? So I still have family and community in Philly, chosen family and community in Philly. And when I tell you the violence that they've experienced, that my friends who are homeowners, who are college educated, right? Folks who have masters, when I tell you about the violence that they've experienced there, then I have a brother in Illinois. He's no longer in Chicago proper, but of course he still works in and around Chicago and is close. My twin brother talked about the violence going on in Illinois, right? Around that area. Through my work, I have fellow organizers and colleagues in Chicago proper who've been dealing with everything from the Adam Toledo shooting to the school boards, not the school unions, the teachers unions protests. There's so much going on, and a lot of gun violence in Chicago, a lot of gun violence in Philadelphia, right? And now we're starting to see it here. And I'm just saying that, y'all, this is not just about just one thing. We have to figure out what is causing these conditions where violence is popping up in all these pockets, in all these metropolitan areas. What is causing that? I don't have the answers. I don't have an exact answer, and anyone telling you or selling you an answer, just be leery of that. I don't have an answer, but I have some thoughts, and I know you all have some thoughts as well. Kia, You wrote in Twitch on the chat, having been a teacher up there for the last 5 years, those people are tired and have had enough. Right. Yep. Yes, absolutely. Talking about North Charleston, we said up there. Tired and had enough of the inequalities in Charleston. Bingo. I am. Hey, Taisha. Hey. No silver bullet. That's right. Anyone selling you a silver bullet, a one-shot remedy, be leery. Read the back of the box. Look at the instructions. Look at the ingredients, because anyone selling you that is a snake oil salesman, right? All right, so what I want to do is go ahead and switch. And I haven't queued anything up. I've been running. Well, I ain't been running. I'm lying. I'm acting like I've been running. I kind of have. I'm just out of my routine. But we're going to go real quick. And thank y'all for joining. Hey, Evelyn. Something interesting happened last year in Baltimore. You're saying this on Twitch, Evelyn. Something happened in Baltimore. They stopped prosecuting. Yep. You saw Mosley. You see Mosley making the rounds? Right? Prosecutor Mosley up in Baltimore. They stopped prosecuting nonviolent drug prostitution events. Right? Nonviolent, or quote unquote, and they stopped prosecuting the petty offenses, those misdemeanors. Right? Because we know that our legal system, Evelyn, is what 80% of the court system is clogged up with like misdemeanor charges. Right. And so like the really violent crime and whatnot, that ain't even it's 80% misdemeanor, small petty things. Right. Hey, good morning, Crystal. All right. And so, yeah, my Mosley in the same vein as a Larry Krasner in Philly. As soon as I leave, we get a Larry Krasner. Granted, I didn't live in Philly when I left. I was living in the burbs. But Larry Krasner, I would love to have watched. I'm saying that because I would love to have seen Larry Krasner close up while living in Philly. But so we have progressive DAs and whatnot in a position to change how things are prosecuted, how they go after crime. And you want to try to decriminalize some of these things that don't really cause that much harm as we think they do, as we've been told they do. That's a very inartful way of me saying that, right? So we want to see criminal justice systems. We want to see law enforcement decriminalize things that are not the same as what we saw this weekend in North Charleston, if that makes sense. Again, very sloppy, but let's get to it. I don't want to sit here and let y'all see Phil Mickelson. This is all good, whoop-de-whoop. Yep, the PGA came to an end yesterday, but let's hop over to the front page of the Post and Courier. Let's go ahead and see what the front page looked like as you hit the door this morning earlier. If you go to the gas station on your lunch break today, this is what the headline news is. It's unfortunate news. Girl dead, 14, shot in North Charleston, right? And we're going to get to this story in a second. Then you have the Phil Mickelson story, oldest dude to win a major, right? Boom. I'm going to head over to YouTube real quick, and we're going to hop back to the reporting from the Post and Courier. I'm not glossing over anything. I'm just trying to get directly to where we need to go. All right. Let me see. Let me switch accounts real quick. Oh, look at me on YouTube. Oh, look at me. All right. Let's get to it. We're going to get to the WCBD. Shout out Kate Press Tech. Shout out Kate Press Tech from WCBD News. Shout out Carolyn Murray. Just wanted to say that. I think they know why. So we want to jump into those violent stories, or stories of violence. I don't want to do too much of the press conference with Chief Burgess, only because they can run a little long, but we will listen to a little bit of that. I also want to take you to the protest that I was involved with this weekend. And I believe, let me see. Yep, I'm going to take you to those protests that I was involved in, and let's see, other things that happened over the past couple of days around the Jamal Sutherland, and update you on action that's to take place this week regarding the Jamal Sutherland case. Again, we have to walk and chew gum. All right, let's see if we can just get this story about the shooting, because this is really sad.
New this morning, North Charleston police are investigating an incident last night where several victims were found with gunshot wounds. You're looking at pictures from the scene. Officers believe that a fight broke out during an unannounced and unauthorized concert event in the neighborhood. It happened around 10:30 last night near Piggly Wiggly Drive and W Jimtown Drive. We're told the victims are being treated at local hospitals, though the accurate number of victims is unknown at this time. This is a developing story. Count on us for updates on air and online at Count.
Right, so that's just a 30-second clip of that headline. We know that there was a casualty. We know that a 14-year-old was killed, right? I'm trying to see where we at. Let's see. Let's go to, real quick, let's go to Live 5 News. I don't know why WCB didn't have. Here we go. That's another incident here on Live 5 News. I'm going to take a look at the chat in a second. Rajon, I'm going to read Rajon's comment on Facebook, but I want to get this story regarding the young girl that was killed. Okay, let's do this. And this is, yeah. And I want to urge some other things.
Phone it into 1-800-FARMERS to get.
I want to urge, like the Jamal Sutherland case, this is going to get politicized. This can, and part of that is natural, part of that is unavoidable. All right,
we're angry at each other, and they didn't care who got hit.
We are learning new information about a death.
Okay, so before I jump into the story, I don't know. I negotiate every day.
Each other, and they didn't care.
I negotiate every day the value of pointing out who's who in the frame. I negotiate this every day because I don't want to vilify people. I'm seeing the limitations of me always letting people know how I feel about somebody. But I do think it's important to call certain people out, just so you know who's in the frame. And also, what I've noticed in Charleston, this is not no shade, right? This is not shade. There is an expectation that we can't tell friend from foe. There's an expectation that we won't spend the time telling you who's friend and who's foe, meaning that people will exploit perhaps maybe I don't want to use the word ignorance. They'll exploit what we don't know. So there's a rush to call everyone an activist, to call everyone an advocate, to call everyone this, that, and the third, right? Maybe they ran for office once. Maybe they used to run with someone who used to head up a resource center, right? But I think people's politics matter. Because if you're sowing seeds of confusion and derision, among our people, and then stand up for the photo op for it and take that easy stance of being anti-violence. And I'm looking at somebody in this frame right here. So there's a gentleman in this picture out here. I'm seeing a lot of lights. I'm seeing a lot of hearts and whatnot. I don't know if that's you, Taisha. I think it is on Facebook. But there's someone in this frame right here that ain't a friend of the people, and it ain't Elder Johnson, and it ain't Chief Burgess, right? And so you don't get to go with sow seeds of derision and confusion and misinformation and call the Proud Boys patriots. You don't get to go call the somebody said Johnson all day. You don't get to go and call Proud Boys patriots and then come back. Erica, you know who I'm about to say, right, Erica? Don't bite my tongue. Erica, drop the name. I want Erica to drop the name because she the one had to deal with a lot of this BS, right? Like, you don't get to go ahead and call the Proud Boys patriots, feed white nationalists information about a black woman and get her to be harassed. Like, I can't even count how many days Erica Coakley has been harassed over and over and over and over and over again, right? Right, I cannot. She's dropping the eyes emoji. Y'all a mess, and so we just say everybody in this picture ain't a friend and foe. But I ain't talking about Johnson. I ain't talking about Reggie Burgess. I'm gonna leave it at that. Everybody in this picture, and that's important. You don't get to be MAGA and then come back to the hood. To me, you go MAGA once you put on that red cap, or you red cap adjacent, or you Proud Boys adjacent, and you're not smart enough to understand what a white nationalist group is, right? Yeah, shout out to Erica. I'm gonna go back up to Rajon's comment you wrote earlier on Facebook. Rajon, you wrote earlier, we are doing a community discussion with all the youth who are interested in sharing their feelings and what adults can do. I love the fact, Rajon, that you're centering the children, that you're centering youth, and you're listening to them. We need more We need more people who center the youth and actually are meeting their needs. And that's actually what I want to start talking about throughout the week, is that we need more resources. Like, I don't know. Look, I was raised by two Southern Baptist black folk who were Jim Crow refugees, right? I wasn't outside past in the summertime past 8, not without my family, right? And I ain't no shade to any of the kids that was out there, because it's not their fault. It's not their fault. What we need to do is supplement what other enticements are out there. What else could we offer that's equally enticing? What else can we offer, right? How do we counter those really distracting, really, really tempting forces out there, especially as children are developing, their minds are changed, they're filled with hormones, their brains aren't really developed, they're navigating what? They're navigating perhaps maybe poverty, they're navigating probably maybe some turmoil at home, they're navigating a bevy of things, they're navigating living in a city that doesn't really want them there, right? That doesn't really want them there at all. So what do we do? What do we do to bring kids to center their needs and to offer them something other than? And I think for me, I was offered other than. I was presented with as a kid, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, right? I'm not saying at all. Oh, please, St. Andrews High School, my first year down here, man, I don't even know how I got out to 10th grade. I cut every damn class. When I got down here. I was acting out. I was mad. I didn't want to move from New Jersey down here. Like, I cut every damn class in 10th grade. Thank God. Thank God I found other things and got back on track and went to college, right out of high school. But like, we just need to center what kids need. We need to ask questions and listen to them. So I'll say that. I'll say bring back the village. Taisha said that on Facebook. Bring back the village. Absolutely. Jessica, over here on Twitch, you said the context I provide is about who's in the frame is valuable. Okay. I'm gonna be more precise moving forward. I think people have been giving me the feedback that they like for me to tell you, like, yo, this dude right here, well, let me tell you about this dude, right? Without getting too messy, because I don't want nobody knocking on my door. But here we go. Let's just play the clip.
Who got hit?
We are learning new information about a deadly mass shooting in North Charleston that led to the death of a 14-year-old girl and 14 other people being hurt. Lillian Donahue has more as police are pleading for people with information to come forward.
It's a shame.
One set of string lights and a power cord and a strobe light. That's all that's left from a deadly evening here where at least 14 people were hurt.
At first, I thought it was fireworks. Because, you don't want to believe that it's shots.
But it was gunfire ringing out around Piggly Wiggly Road in North Charleston shortly before 10:30 Saturday night.
It was just a...
See, look, this looked like just a regular block situation. Like, again, I'm going to keep bringing up Philly because there was a culture of black people who just, like, you would shut down your whole block. Like, especially like in South Philly or Southeast Philly, you would just shut your whole block down. You just get like one of those like police barricades, everyone or some cones, and it was nothing for black folk to shut down, black, Puerto Rican, Dominican folks to shut down the block and have a block party without no permits. It was a culture of things. This looked like that's what that was, and then here comes this other element. That's just what I'm gathering from what I've already heard and from what this looks like. This looks like a regular old, hey, we out here block partying.
Sad, tragic occasion.
A scene that took the life of a 14-year-old girl.
We never have an opportunity to see a prom, never have an opportunity to graduate, never have an opportunity to enter college or the military or get a job.
Police say the mass shooting happened after a fight broke out at an unauthorized concert.
We in law enforcement had no clue about this.
Concert?
If we would have, we probably would have been able to save lives.
It's heartbroken.
Locals in the area, including the pastor of a neighboring church, are still reeling from the news.
When they catch the people who did this, persons, still it's a great tragedy.
Yeah.
Friends and neighbors say they're tired of recent strings of violence and shootings in North Charleston.
Where are the parents? What is going on with the world? What is going on with our world today? We have to learn to come together as one.
Meanwhile, the North Charleston police chief is pleading for people to come forward.
And it's sad because I know the family. I don't know why. And y'all can help me out. Right, unauthorized concert, but like, what are you talking about? Just having, I see the riser there. So was it a concert or was it like
I don't know. I'm gonna keep reading, right? And I'm gonna keep talking to people who actually live in the area. I don't know what the value is of having the crime scene behind him like that. I don't know what that is. That's interesting. I don't know what's going on here. I'm just letting you know how I feel. Like, I don't know how effective this was. But let me let it rock.
I keep seeing the same people I grew up with, same people I went to church with, I play sports with. It's the same thing.
And giving an emotional promise to his community.
We're going to make this place safe. We're going to have problems once in a while, but overall, we're going to live in peace.
Police say there were multiple shooters, but do not know how many. Reporting in North Charleston, I'm Lillian.
What pissed me off is that they always hit the wrong one. Damn, never hit, like, and I ain't advocating for anyone to get hit with a bullet, but they always hit some fucking kid. Like, it makes my heart hurt. They always hit some bystander or somebody else or somebody mama. And that's what really get me mad about the senselessness of it all. It's like it's just like it's always somebody else. That bullet has somebody else's name on it. Not saying anyone should have gotten shot, but that's really unfortunate. It's really, really, really troubling. All right, I'm gonna go back to the Post and Courier story because I want to see if we can just read a little bit of their coverage of the story. This is written by Tony Bartolome. All right, let's go ahead and let's try to read this. Matter of fact, let me see. Okay. All right. So it says, of course, girl dead. Community mourns 14-year-old victim day after multiple suspects fired into a crowd at a large street party. All right. Multiple shooters fired into a crowded concert and cookout in a North Charleston neighborhood. That's exactly what it looked like. A concert and cookout in a North Charleston neighborhood late May 22nd, striking 14 people, including a 14-year-old girl who later died. North Charleston Police Chief Reggie Burgess, said the individuals who were angry with each other didn't care who got hit. The spasm of gun violence left neighbors and family members reeling in a tight-knit. Is it Dees Hill, a pocket of modest homes off Piggly Wiggly Drive. The teen lived next to a field where the gunfire erupted, and more than 40 people gathered at the family's home Sunday to grieve. Authorities haven't released the name of the teen, nor are they saying whether they have any suspects, exactly how many shooters were involved. They're not saying any of that, and what kind of guns have been fired. But Burgess said the shooting hit hard and close. All right, so we already heard his sentiments around. He knew the family, he knew the people involved. And I'm going to go over here to this paragraph over here, this third paragraph. It says the neighbors were having a cookout or whatever you want to call it, said James McClam. It's MCCLAM, a longtime resident. Some girls from another area who didn't live there came, and before you know it, a doggone argument started, and then the next thing you know, bullets are flying. That's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. Again, let me go back to WCBD and see if there was any follow-up to that story. Don't look like it. When this is just a press conference. Well, yeah, here we go. Here's the 2-minute piece.
Good Sunday evening, and thanks so much for joining us on News 2. I'm Amaris Jenkins. Developing news, a 14-year-old is dead and 13 other people injured. Many of them are young people. We've learned this happened during what is being described as an outdoor party in North Charleston. Tonight, there are still no arrests. News 2's Lexi Moore joins us live from where that shooting happened. Lexi, today you heard from the police chief, and he got very emotional.
Yeah, Mayor's Chief Reggie Burgess says he knew the family of the teen that was killed, and talking about her death was enough to push him to tears. It all started right here off of Piggly Wiggly Drive last night. Police say they were called about the party around 10:30, and minutes later when they arrived, they found 14 people who had been shot. Now there are still questions about how this situation escalated or who started shooting. But Chief Burgess says it's up to the community to help find out who was involved so justice can be served.
And I get out here every day. To grind for the people of North Charleston. And it's going to work out, because that's what the Lord said. I'm going to keep running for the people. We're going to make this place safe. We're going to have problems once in a while, but overall, we're going to live in peace.
South Carolina Representative J.A. Moore responded with a statement. The truth is, a cultural change must take place for our society to truly value black lives. We should care about every instance where black life is being taken, not just when it's in the hands of law.
Okay, so this is where I'm gonna be a citizen. This is where I'm gonna be a citizen real quick. And again, what this platform is going to do is counter the narrative of respectability politics, right? So it's okay if black people exhibit. Let me try to put this. When violence emerges from within our community, it can be complicated. When violence emerges from within our community, it's not clear cut. Sometimes it's unexpected. Sometimes it involves people we love and care for. And it's not easy to it's not black and white. It's not good guy, bad guy. A couple of years ago, I had the privilege of teaching kids how to do a podcast at the Septima Clark Academy over there on James Island, and it was like one of those last chance high schools. I wouldn't even call it a school, and that's no disrespect to any of the administrators or educators who work there. But in terms of how it was set up, to me, it was less of an academic environment, more of a like let's get you ready to get to the finish line, right? It wasn't, and again, no shade to them, but listening to those kids and watching those kids, observing those kids on multiple visits, these kids articulated to me as I tried to help them record their stories, and as some of them shared poetry with me and brought their poetry to me, I saw kids dealing with a lot of complicated things that I could never imagine dealing with at their age, at ages 13, 14, 15, 16. I had my thing, but it had nothing. It looked nothing like what these kids were writing to me and sharing with me. Very mature subject matter. And it broke my heart when I left that academy. I couldn't figure out how to work there sustainably. I couldn't figure out how to have a long-term relationship with the academy, even though I wanted to. And shortly after my time there ended, one of the kids, his name was Mike. Mike was shot and killed in his neighborhood. And I remember Mike was somewhat like the natural leader in the classroom, because the class was rowdy, and even though I brought in speaker systems and was playing all kinds of hip hop and edited hip hop and everything, the kids was like, you got to earn this, you got to earn my attention. And it was one of the toughest things I ever had to do, is come in there and get their attention. And I'm coming in here with a party. You would think everybody be like, nah, they was like, I'm putting this blanket over my head and I'm gonna go to sleep, literally. And so Mike struck me as someone, as a natural leader, because he was able to jump up and participate. And when he participated, it felt like other students were more inclined to participate. And I'm saying all this because what the kids revealed to me, and then also knowing the aftermath of knowing that Mike succumbed to gun violence, what I understood in this specific instance, because these kids, even though they were being educated on James Island, they were from all over, but a lot of them from North Charleston. And what I learned was that how complicated things were. That it wasn't just about, okay, well, we're going to provide this resource for Mike. So when you provide these resources for Mike, he go home, but he has to contend with not just what's at home, but what's in the neighborhood. Not just what's in the neighborhood, what's in neighboring neighborhoods, right? It was such a multifaceted issue that I felt overwhelmed. And maybe that contributed to me not being able to go back. I felt overwhelmed and ill-equipped. And so when we talk about gun violence, and we're an elected official, and we're an elected official of color, I would hope to see politicians not do what I see right here in this second part of J.A.'s statement. And this is no disrespect to J.A. as a person, as a man, as a leader. But this is not about, oh, you enraged when the white cops shoot us, but you not enraged. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Loss is loss. When it's from within the community, it's different. It's complicated. How I know? Because I listen to the kids tell me. How I know? Because I've been in jails in North Carolina for years and traveled back and forth hundreds of miles and talk to inmates. How I know? Because I launched a podcast series where I interview many a former inmate who would talk about, and a lot of them got caught up at 16 and 17, getting handed 15 and 20 year sentences. I talked to them after in their 30s, damn near 40 years old, and talked about those things that happened, how they got caught up, who they impacted. And I'm tired of us thinking that what this does to me, this second part of this statement reinforces the myth, the lie that is black on black violence. We hurt who's close to us. We hurt who we're close to, who we live near. Those are the relationships. Those are the things that matter. We hurt the people that we're in community with. That's what happens to everybody. That's what happens in Asian communities. That's what happens in white communities. And you can go on down the line, whether it's ethnic or cultural distinctions you want to make. You hurt who's close to you. And so to kind of gift wrap this into a simple, well, we need to be in, who you know how many grieving mothers get together unofficially? They don't form an LLC or a 501c3, but they get together and they either work through the church or work through a community activist or whatnot to try to create solutions, who do unofficial things, who take in kids whose moms can't take care of them, who give them a wash up after school or before school or a meal. You know how many grannies is taking in their grandkids because maybe mommy and daddy can't do it? Or how many aunties who've had to take in their nephews and their nieces because their mommy might not be able to do it? Like, we care about these lives. I don't know what this thing is that, because, when a cop kills, we marching because the cop kills, because that came from outside. That's easy to, like, hey, what's going on? We've been dealing with this since the slave ship. You've been telling us it's illegal to be black and be in America since we got off this motherfucking slave ship that y'all put us on. Excuse me for cursing, right? Of course, that's easy. That's easy to identify that opposition for the most part. Stop oversimplifying this, especially when it's your cousin, when it's your uncle, your sister, your auntie that might be the person causing harm. It's difficult to be like, damn, I love her, but why did she do this? Damn, I love him, but why did he do this? Why did he feel like this was the way to go? Oh my God, I love them. Why did they pick up that gun? I used to take him to Sunday school. What happened? What did we do? It's difficult. So don't perpetuate this myth because this is another way of saying black on black crime exists and we need to. No. What about the conditions that create the poverty? What about the conditions that create inadequate resources? And I'm not trying to remove the agency of those involved. I'm not trying to, especially if it's some full-grown adult that was at the head of this. I'm not trying to remove the agency and say, hey, they are without blame. I'm not saying that. But I am more interested in learning about the conditions that creates this type of environment. Because it's not, I just don't want us to get into and fall into that trap that white supremacy sets for us, that where we start pitting each other against each other. Of course, how many activists are watching right now who jacked up that little boy for saying something disrespectful to that little girl or saying something disrespectful to that older woman? I know I've jacked up some people. I know I've grabbed a couple of collars and like, what you say? Right? And I'm not saying about hitting. I'm not talking about corporal punishment. I'm talking, how many times have you had to pull somebody aside like, girl, you lost your mind talking to so-and-so like that? You lost your mind disrespecting your mama? You lost your mind dirtying up them clothes that your mama bought you? And I know how hard your mama worked to get you those clothes. Like, we've all been there and jumped in, right? So that's we do respond. We do care about these lives. Right? I'm more interested in like learning more about, I brought that up just because I'm saying like people are invested, people do jump in there. I'm just more interested in understanding about the conditions that create this type of environment where there aren't, and the Post and Courier fact checked me the other day. They finally included a quote of mine. I shouldn't say finally, but they pick and choose when they want to put me in the paper. But they put a quote in there of mine. And they fact checked me and said, oh, there's millions of dollars, the part, because I said that there are not enough programs here. There are not enough rec leagues and stuff. Y'all know that anybody who was here in the 90s, anybody who was in Charleston in the 90s, y'all know how much different type of programming and different type of recreational activities existed, safe things. All these jams and stuff like that. Bands coming down, battle of the bands and whatnot. Y'all remember all those things. If you were around in the 90s, if you were in early 2000s, after I done went to college, y'all remember how many programs used to exist in Charleston proper. Different types of things where you could go to as a family. Right? Y'all remember that. I'm waiting for somebody to say amen in the chat. Somebody black. Who was here back in the day, you know that there were programs here, there were all different types of things here that don't exist anymore. And I'm not saying that's the panacea for violence. I'm saying that the more and more you create hostile environments and you erase culture and you have a combative, like oppressive culture of erasure and displacement, what do you think happens when you squeeze the toothpaste tube at this end? What do you think? It just stays there? It's gonna burst out the other side. So when you continuously scrunch and crunch and push people, what do you think happens? I honestly, like, when there's and you're saying, well, what kind of hostile? It's hostile to remove these things. It's hostile to replace teachers and counselors with SROs, with resource officers. It's that's a form of violence. That's a form of hostility. It's hostile to watch neighborhood grocery stores shrink up and die, and now you have the proliferation of Family Dollar and Dollar Tree. No shade, but those aren't stores that can carry an inordinate amount of perishables and fresh produce, right? That's violence. When your neighborhood store, your neighborhood grocery store is replaced by what, 3 or 4 Family Dollars, Dollar Trees, right? That's a form of violence. And you think that all these things don't contribute to how their minds like mature and how they mature emotionally? So like, yeah, I think the displacement of black families, black bodies, black jobs, I think the displacement of all those things contribute to this violence. I didn't say it was the only factor. I say it's a contributing factor. And that's what I want to underscore. So just no shade to JA. I know JA's heart is in the right place. But I'm going to assume that. I'm working on that to assume the best. But we ain't going to do this whole, we're not going to do this black on black crime narrative. He's just saying it without saying it. Right? Black life is being taken. When those black lives are being taken, before they're taken, black people love on each other. But what do you think that cookout probably was started for? And I'm going to get to the chat over in Twitch. I know I've been ignoring y'all. But what do you think that cookout was for? That was probably an expression of black love. That was probably an expression of black solidarity and black, giving people an outlet on enjoying this beautiful weather. Right? So we do love black lives. Don't do that. Don't be, and when we in mixed company, don't say this stuff in mixed. You can say this at the Bible study meeting, JA, but don't say this in mixed company. Don't put this on wax. Nah, don't put this on wax. Right? Yeah, right? We so poor, Erica. We so poor. We got poor spending habits. But why y'all keep coming to our neighborhoods though? Right? Right? Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, but we gotta keep it 100. We love JA. That's the thing. My commentary, and I was hoping that y'all understand. My commentary is you are supposed to make all of your elected officials better. Crystal Matthews, you said this on a call. A couple of weeks ago, I think. You're saying that Crystal said that you think that your elected officials know everything. They don't until you present it to them. So just because they have this distinction and they're in this beautiful grand, building that's a state house and they're at a lectern and they make these riveting speeches and these appeals to people, don't assume that they know everything. So your job, and I told y'all, don't be standing no elected officials either. They ain't no fan clubs. That, how you show your biggest support for your favorite elected official? You push them and make them better. You redirect them when they take, so I'm trying to, I would hope to have an elected official have a more progressive commentary, at the ready when incidents like this arise. That's what I'm pushing for. It's just like this situation is complicated, and this whole black on black violence stuff, we ain't perpetuating that, not in 2021.
Law enforcement. I'm committed to doing my part and encourage members of the community to
no
join
fan clubs, Crystal. I love you though.
We did find a flyer circulating on social media about an event that was at the same time as last night's shooting. We'll update you as we learn more. Live in North Charleston, I'm Lexi Moore. Count on 2.
I guarantee you that was just a cookout where black folk can have fun. I live I'm gonna say I live on Wamalaw. I'm in this apartment, but y'all know I live on Wamalaw. And I mean, not even just funerals. If it's the other day, somebody had a birthday party, and it was probably about 4 houses down from where we at. And I mean, you could hear every syllable of the blues singer or whatever music they were playing. You could hear every syllable as if it was in your living room, right? These things happen culturally natural, and I mean the whole street was just lined with cars. The whole street, y'all know how it looked, and nothing ever happens. Like stuff happens on Wamalaw, but you know what I'm trying to say. For the most part, these things happen all the time and without incident, and it's just really tragic. It's really, really tragic and sad. I want to get to this weekend's protest. It's gonna be, y'all know we in a Korean car, and I got to get off live in a little bit, so I want to kind of just get focused. And thank y'all for contributing in the chat on Facebook. I can't keep up. Let me go over here and look at what Tisha said over in Twitch before I go to our protest efforts this past weekend. Tisha, you said black people are not a monolith. Why must we all be held to a higher expectation in regards to internal conflicts when we are hyper oppressed and disenfranchised at every turn? Come on, Tisha, come on. Tisha, start the podcast. Like, come on. Tisha, you went on to say it's gaslighting, right? Gaslighting a victim of abuse and never give them resources to heal. Come on, Kia, you agree. All right? You agree with me and probably with Tisha. Crimes of proximity. Jessica, you chimed in. Crimes of proximity. Absolutely. Right? Yeah, our community is much more than the news gives us. Absolutely. Kia, you went on to say so many issues, Mika. I've even seen teen suicide. Right. And that's the other thing. Yeah, like these kids are dealing with like all kinds of mental health issues. Again, the calls for justice for Jamal, there are things within the demands, at least within the coalition that I'm a part of. There are things listed within our demands that are universal, that can be universally applied to many a marginalized community. Right? Like the resources we're calling for Jamal. Of course, we know Jamal died in custody of our Charleston County Jail, but the things that we're calling for there, you can apply that to our neighborhoods in terms of what types of mental health resources we need to extend to folks. I know for a fact, like that's one thing I can remember so vividly. I believe it was Mr. Brady. I said real vividly, then I can't remember his name. I believe it was Mr. Brady. It was a white man with a big old head, and he was our counselor when I was in middle school in Tinton Falls, New Jersey. And I just remember Mr. Brady and then other types of resources or counselors that made themselves available. Like even my school nurse was like a low key, like I got you type of figure. And they're not even school nurses anymore. But even the school nurse provided a certain level of kind of care. You know, if it's something emotional, she had some kind of other resource to give us. You don't see that in schools anymore. You don't see Mr. Brady's in school. I'm gonna have to ask my brother. My brother has the eidetic memory. He can remember almost every teacher and the car they drove, which is really weird. I'm gonna ask him if he remembers our counselor from middle school and high school in New Jersey. All right, so I'm going to go to the rallies that happened this weekend. Yesterday morning, we got up at the crack of dawn. I don't even think it was crack of dawn, pre-dawn. Shout out to everyone part of the Justice for All Coalition who met up, and we wanted to protest the PGA. Not only protest the PGA, you saw the digital campaign. If you follow me and you subscribe to my newsletter, you got the social media kit. You knew how to. And shout out to everyone who leveraged their platforms to advance our message, to amplify our message of justice for Jamal Sutherland. But we also hit the streets in three clusters. I was at the group that was and I'm sure we can disclose this now. I'm just going to speak very broadly though. I was at the group that was at Old Folly Road and Maybank. So right there before you get to the Wapu Bridge, before you can either bank that, like if you're coming from Johns Island, right there at that intersection before you hit the drawbridge, where you could bank that left and get to the bridge, or bank that right and go toward like either James Island or Mount Pleasant. So I was at that corner. We were at that corner with the at South State Bank, and let me tell you, baby, I thought the other clusters closer to the tournament was going to be like the hot spot, and I'm sure it was. From our debrief, it sounded like it was eventful, but baby, the police, 12 was just like 12 was heavy to the point where I said I'm calling the media, because I'm calling the media to document this, because hopefully when the camera come, they stop. They was just like, I thought they were going to kettle us at one point. I mean, when I tell you, baby, they kept pulling up to us, lowering the window, like doing all this weird stuff in the lanes, and then going to McLeod Plantation and ducking off, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but I just had to, like, it was a lot. So here's the story.
Sutherland, you're taking a live look right now at one of 3 rallies that was scheduled for this morning. They say their goal is to create visibility to PGA attendees that there is a lack of justice in Charleston. And last night, activists also gathered downtown, being arrested while receiving treatment for mental illness. Activists from Stand as One and United Front Charleston marched through King Street calling for justice. Leaders say they want both deputies involved, who have since been fired, in custody. Some activists compare the death of Jamal Sutherland and subsequent firings of the 2 Charleston County deputies to the death of Walter Scott and the murder charges brought against now fired North Charleston police officer Michael Slager.
Michael Slager was terminated from his job, charges were filed, and he was arrested that very day, 3 days after the murder. So all this stuff about we gotta wait until the SLED investigation comes in, and all, that's hogwash.
He got a point.
Activists say they will continue to march in downtown Charleston and call for justice for Jamal Sutherland.
Okay, so those were 2 actions that took place. I want to go back to our rally real quick, and then I'm going to do my little graceful dismount, if you can call it graceful. Hey, Evelyn. Hey, Evelyn.
This is a local coalition called Justice for All.
Okay.
And here it's composed.
I don't like this girl, so I'm gonna fast forward her. She talks too much. All right.
Demands that we've already forwarded to her and all of her peers. We want her to look at those demands and to act accordingly. This coalition specifically is calling for the officers who caused Jamal Sutherland's death to be held accountable, and that's what we're fighting for. But we've furnished her with the demands. We're all here to draw attention to the issue surrounding the Jamal Sutherland case. We're all out here calling for justice. We want to make sure that our elected officials, our solicitor responds to the needs of the people, responds to the calls of the activists who are galvanizing to show support for the Sutherland family and to get justice for Jamal Sutherland.
We're to demand transparency, accountability from the police and law enforcement and the prison systems here. We're also demanding community control of police and prisons, and we're also demanding that there is a divestment from these police and prison systems into mental health, because that's what we need here. We do not need more money for police and prisons, because that's not the...
Shout out Black Voters Matter. Shout out April, Black Voters Matter.
The solution to our problems. We're communities that need it the most, because all too often we see them prioritize PGA Tour and so many of these other outside festivals, but not prioritize the Black community here. We're the #1 city in tourism. We better start acting like we cherish our Black communities, and that's why we're here now, because Charleston doesn't cherish our Black communities, and we need to do that, and we need to do better.
Shut up,
that's
Jessica.
Why we're standing against PGA Tour and demanding they shift these resources into the city of Charleston and protecting our Black communities and our Black folks out here.
The shift the focus, like y'all, I mean, I'm telling you, bend over backwards to make these festivals happen, especially after COVID. And I will say this, right? I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna switch right now. Let me switch over here. I see y'all in the chat. Y'all make me laugh. I'm gonna read this chat later. But like one thing we kept it's reverse. I'm looking at a screen that's reversed. Sorry. One thing we're trying to say was, I know people are like, well, why? Like my parents asked me last night, like, why was y'all boycotting the PGA? What that got to do with tourist attractions and tourist programming that will take place throughout the summer and throughout Charleston? If you know how much COVID relief money went to these things, you'd be left slack-jawed. And I understand that tourism is a big money maker. Without tourism, we don't pay for X, Y, and Z. There's a way to create a sustainable tourism environment. Other countries do it all the time. There's a way to protect the things that keep Charleston this unique. Am I still here? I'm frozen. Oh, I don't know if I'm frozen. It look like I'm frozen. Am I frozen? Let me see. Did I freeze for a second? Y'all give me thumbs up. Okay, I'm good. Facebook like it froze. I don't know what happened. Okay, good. I got something happened over here. All right, sorry about that. My face was frozen in this really weird position on Facebook. Maybe I got a call or something. Okay, so no. There's ways to have sustainable tourism. If y'all go back to, well, I don't know how much we got into it. When I spoke to Katie, my friend Katie Dudley, back last year about tourism and her study of tourism, she studied New Orleans, and we talked about the parallels between New Orleans and their tourism. And like, there's curfews in New Orleans. They're suggesting curfews here now. There's all types of restrictions on like the what do you call the district, the French Quarter. There's all types of restrictions, how many things they can and cannot do. There are all types of curfews and restrictions, and I see Charleston trying to imitate that, especially with this new conversation, if you haven't heard, around enacting a curfew. It's just like New Orleans. There's so many parallels between New Orleans and Charleston. The vacation in their own city. Right, it's getting to the point where there's not even getting to the point. It is at the point where there are a lot of people who make decent incomes can't enjoy Charleston because it's not meant for us. It's not meant for us to live here. It's meant for folks to visit, right? And so the sprawling growth, the inordinate amount of resources dumped into tourism, all it does is create more disparities that people like me and my cousins and my family have to contend with, and not just me as a Black person, me and my extended family, my chosen family have to contend with. And so that's why we made the PGA, and it should always be a focus to boycott tourism here. Period. I think there always should be, because they are showing what they value the most. Right. And they've made it so hostile to protest. They made it so hostile to exercise your First Amendment right. And there's a reason for that. They want to protect this illusion that they present to all of the visitors. And this is not about if you come to Charleston, enjoy Charleston, you're bad. I start seeing how inaffordable things are. You start seeing the job market is abysmal, that they're only like they're an onslaught of low wage jobs. They're not really a big number of skilled positions out there, especially if you're a Black woman. They're going to try to put you in a low skilled job regardless, right? Yeah, they're gonna try to. It's just, that's why we focus on the PGA. That's one reason. That's my explanation, right? So anyway, tourism should always be a focus, especially after getting over $20 million in COVID relief money, CVB and other tourism industries throughout the state, in Myrtle Beach, the upstate, and so on and so forth. You received this COVID-19 money, and some of those resources could have been allocated to really create a home here for folks who live in Charleston. So that's that. There's going to be, again, I think there's movement with the I want to say with the Sutherland family, but with other more traditional coalitions of folks. There should be a march. I'll talk more about that tomorrow when I'm at liberty to speak more about that. I think there's marches going on. There are tons of protests. I didn't even get to the pro-Palestine protests that happened on Saturday. Pro-Palestine protests. I love seeing it. This is a city of protests, and the cops were on there. Let me say this before I hang up. Click. The cops were on their best behavior. Let me repeat. The cops were on their best behavior. They were on their, even the ones that were trying to like intimidate us, some of them were waving and trying to be nice and like, no, we ain't forget Jamal, right? No, like we chanted, no good cops in a racist system, right? But they were on their best behavior. They knew with them cameras in town. And they also had, I believe, there's a level of respect for us because they see how savvy we are. We're very well organized for the most part. And we know who to call and how to get attention that they don't want us to get. So, and they know, and we see the city of Charleston police tweeting, keeping people updated about what's going on in the business district. Can't tell you what's going on in Avondale. Can't tell you what's going on in parts of James Island that belong to the city. But they quick to update you on everything that's happening in the business district, right? They quick to keep sending out those tweets about the business district. to make the property owning, boutique owning glitterati feel comfortable. Hey, we're taking care of your business district. Don't give a damn about, in other parts. And so we're going to continue this fight and continue this dialogue. And you're going to see more and more protests. You're going to see more and more people challenge them and trying to restrict our ability to protest. You're going to see a lot of pushback on that. And I think they're responding in kind. Now, they're going to respond in kind in some other ways as well. But I know this past weekend, with all them cameras in here, with thousands of people out here chasing Phil Mickelson on moving day, right? I know they were on their best behavior. Real quick, before I say bye, I'm going to look at Twitch. Jessica, you wrote, if they appreciated black citizens as much as they appreciated tourist dollars, we would all be living better. Amen. Trying to profit off of black food and culture without loving black people is ridiculous. And that's exactly what I saw. Shout out Piccolo Spoleto. I know a lot of good people behind that. Shout out Piccolo Spoleto. Y'all got real black. Y'all marketing got real black this year. So I'm looking. I see. They're gonna put a lot of black faces, y'all, on a lot of things that's problematic. And I'm not even going to shade the artists and the people they employ, because go get it. But they're gonna put a lot of black art, a lot of black faces on problematic institutions, and we just have to call a thing. And we can still support that black artist or that black content creator. We can still support them. But call out the BS, because you can put a black artist on the front cover of your Piccolo Spoleto billing, but how are you affirming your love of black lives in other types of programming? What sustainable programming you have outside of festival season? And Moja, okay, Moja ain't been ran right since I was a little girl. I'm just keeping it a buck. No disrespect, nobody else. Moja, let me say this: Moja is not the same as it once was. Let me say that. I ain't gonna impugn no leader's integrity. Moja ain't the same as it used to be. I'm gonna leave it at that. So really, you didn't pump any money into that conciliation commission that I was a part of. And to me, where policy could be influenced, that's what mattered most. And you didn't even fund that commission. So if you're not funding the commissions that are designed to bring about policy solutions to these systemic issues, if you're not funding the commissions that actually influence policy, how the hell am I going to take you serious because you put a black artist's work on the cover of Spoleto or the cover of Piccolo Spoleto? Come on now. You ain't going, No, I'm not falling for it. All right, that's it. I am going to go. Thank you for joining me late. I gotta go. Gotta get my life together so I don't get fired. All right, talk to y'all later. I appreciate y'all for watching. Tomorrow, I don't even know. Might be the evening. Might do a 6:00 tomorrow evening. Might do, depending on what I got going on after work. But I won't be on at 7:30 tomorrow morning. All right, y'all take it easy. I appreciate y'all so much. Bye.